And welcome, Rooster Boosters, to Rooster Booster Time. I'm the big guy, Scott Ferrari. That's Mike the Grand Poobah Parazzini. Glad to see you guys again. Sorry for the technical difficulties over the weekend. Sometimes the stream just doesn't work so well. But Mikey, thanks for covering for me, brother.
Absolutely. I've kind of learned every so often, how to do it. I could kind of weave my way around. I know a little bit about rugby, so hopefully I didn't screw it up too
Just a
bad.
little bit, just a
Yeah.
little bit. But yeah, thank you so much for doing it solo. And sorry about that. But anyway, always feel better the Tuesday after a win. We got a big one, bonus point against NOLA. Always a nail biter though, right? With NOLA, I think we've only had one match out of the five we played with them that I would consider a blowout, which was the one last year. They blew us out, I believe, in Austin. But it's New York 36, NOLA 28. And really we started off really strong. It looked like right off the bat, Troy Lockyer was free and clear to score a try, and unfortunately, he came up a little lame, went right down, and it was kind of writhing in pain, holding his leg. We weren't sure what happened during the match. Afterwards, we were told it was a hamstring injury. We're not sure of what his timetable is as far as selection to return. Although I did speak to Troy, and he is feeling better. So that's a good thing. If you're feeling good, that's one
Yep.
thing. So I'm glad to hear that. We go into that first try that's scored by Andy Ellis, and it all started with a big pass from KT going to Butcher, then going to Ben Bonasso. Ben gets taken down. They recycle the ball. It comes out to Ish. Ish gets it in the 5 meter mark. KT gets it into 1 meter, and then Andy Ellis with a little pick and go and kind of slips in under the radar to score that first try. Um, Jack Heighton making the conversion, and then right off the bat, first phase, I think off the kick, you had Andy Ellis slip it to Jason Emery, who broke through the line, eventually give it to Kara Pryor. And if you guys are watching my Instagram stories, you can see our boy Ish on the other side, wide open, waving for the ball. There's a couple memes out there of our boy Ish. We love him. We love to make fun of him a little bit. It was a great play. And Kara Pryor scores. Jack Heighton slots it, and now all of a sudden we're up by 14. Um, I think it was indicative of what we do offensively as far as what we were trying to do, um, and breaking tackles and cutting through gaps. But we've seen before when we play teams that are very solid and play the man and not the gap, um, that our style of offense can be stifled. I think what we saw here was guys running straight, not necessarily doing those big looping skip passes, and
Mhm.
taking the ball in hand forward without really giving a step or some type of move first, so just get the ball forward. And that was the result of those two things. I mean, and Kalolo's pass, again, reminiscent of the one against New England where he kind of flipped it behind himself. Butch kind of doing a touch pass, and it was very pretty. I'll tell you, man. These big guys can offload. What did you think about the first 20 minutes?
I thought they played incredibly well. It was amazing to see. It looked like the rugby New York of old. Hard charging. Our our backs seemed to get bogged down a little bit. That was the one thing that was stressing me out. They were trying to send it wide, and it just seemed like Nola was matching up, but it both of our tries came from work around that ruck area.
Mm-hmm.
They Nola was great, stifling out wide, but there seemed a little bit looser, I guess you would say, around the ruck. It
Mm-hmm.
seemed like we took advantage of that incredibly well. Slicing through, Andy going around doing what Andy does best. That other try to Kara where I believe we came off the side of the ruck on that one
Mm-hmm.
again, and
Yep.
then it just seemed like support, bing bang boom. So it was great. It seemed everything looked like it was a team that was in form, mid-season in form. Everything was kind of firing on all cylinders, which is good to see.
Mm-hmm. And Kara Pryor really, doing what he does best with the ball in hand all match.
Yep.
One resulting in a score, and just being fast enough to stay in relative unison with our buddy Jason Emery to get the ball, because Nola did come back with a good defense to almost catch us. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just indicative of the speed Nola has. They're very quick. But again, Carey doing his job, getting to where he needs to go, and all of a sudden he's set up to score that try. Um, the next score was actually NOLA gold, I believe. It was off of a maul, and they ran that fake maul peel. And Cam Dolan's that's Cam Dolan's play. You know, they do that to him, you know, once or twice a match, and he's generally successful with it. And he did get tackled before the try line, and I forgot. I think it was I think it was the prop Sullivan who picked it up. I'll have to check that. Yeah, it was Kevin Sullivan who picked it up and just kind of inched it over. It was that close where, honestly, I think the free ball in the ruck just had to be tapped almost over, you know. So it's very hard to defend that, you know.
I'm looking at the tribe who I use most of the time. They count it to Cam as the try, so I'm not sure. To me, I don't know. It was weird. They executed it perfectly.
Mhm.
That was one of my bigger qualms was it seemed like it was almost held up, like Cam
I
almost got
thought
over.
so, but I think Cam's body was over, but the
Mhm.
ball was down. So, you know, that means it's not held up because
Yeah.
it's not over the try line. Um, and I think I'm pretty sure it was, yeah, there you go. Dougie Coyle confirming with me. It was Kevin Sullivan trying, um, scoring the try. Like I said, it was very hard to defend because it was so close. And then uh, uh, they slot uh, they slot the kick, so it's 21-7. And
Mhm.
then, you know, just kind of at the end of the just kind of at the end of the or no, I'm sorry, what was that? Then that was 14-7, excuse me. Then came one that wait, what? I'm trying to think what the fuck happened. No, we did. Did I talk about three scores? Now I'm all fucked up, Mikey.
Yeah, you did. We just
Yeah.
did the NOLA score, and then we came
Okay.
back with Fawcett with a try.
Yeah. Dylan Fawcett scoring a try. That's correct. And I think he broke down and I think I think he ran over Robbie Coleman. I believe. I'm trying to if I'm correct on that. I'm sure Dougie will let me know if I'm wrong. Um, again, that one I believe heightened slots. And then
Yep.
the last one is, you know, Nola's driving, Nola's driving, and all of a sudden around the 22-meter mark. And this happens every so often in an MLR match. And honestly, I see it happen more to Nola's opponents than it happens to Nola. The ball looked free and clear. Brendan O'Connor poaches it. And all of a sudden, Andy realizes that the NOLA wings and the fullback are not back in position for the kick. 5 meter try. Here we go. There you go. So there's Dougie Coyle referencing his article. Thanks, Dougie. Appreciate it. Andy Ellis kicks this booming kick, and our buddy Eddie Baby Shark Fidel does what he does, beats out the defenders and dots one down, and Jack Heighton again remains perfect with the boot, as Dougie Coyle says, to go into halftime. Now, at this point, it was, you know, it was a very one-sided match offensively and defensively. You know, they talk, you know, a lot of these articles and commentators talk about the offensive side of the ball, but man, Kalolo Tuiloma, Nick Civetta, Nate Brakely, Ben Bonasso, Jason Emery, Brendan O'Connor were laying people out. Zach Tualafu hit somebody, and I think it might have been Kevin Sullivan. And Kevin Sullivan was down for like two phases where like
Mhm.
Physio was unsure whether they needed to come out and help him, and then he popped back up and went to play. So again, I don't know where the HIA was, you know, the TMO for HIA was on that point, but maybe they should be looking at it. But I mean, it was a hard hitting physical match on defense, and that's something we've been missing out of the New York defense.
Yeah, we seemed to be. It was great. It looked like we're firing up hard. We were doing those those double team tackles, which were great.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't give them an opportunity. They had to hold on to the ball. It didn't give them an opportunity to offload. Those few times that we did get a single shot on them, it seemed like they coughed up the ball like almost immediately. They just looked like punishing hard hits that
Mm-hmm.
I would fear for my life if I was ever on the other side of. But it was good to see that they're working together, working in unison to push them back. And yeah, like we were saying, it was very very one sided on defense.
And limiting penalties, which is something we don't do normally. There was one penalty in particular where I was just like, of course, KT hits somebody and drills them, and it's a big hit, and you hear it in the crowd. And he just kind of, when they both go down, it's two big guys trying to wrestle each other, and KT's arm is stuck, and they call him for not rolling away. And I always feel it. I always find it funny. Like he was on the New York side of the ball. His arm was under the person he tackled. To roll away was going to disrupt the ball. I've seen way worse egregious not rolling away where somebody's stuck and actually in the way of the throw where they don't call it. So it's just funny that they happen to call it on this particular one after a big hit. But getting that fourth try secured us the bonus point, right? So we know now it's 3 points. We're up by 3 points against Toronto coming out of the halftime. I'm trying to think. The NOLA hooker Eric Howard is his name, had a leg injury and was really off the field. He got driven out on a tackle, and I don't know if he was just underneath the pile, but again, it was one of those very similar to Troy where he was on the ground holding his leg, kind of writhing in pain, and you don't like to see it. When you see that as a fan for any team, you get concerned, because we're not just talking about like, oh, I have a cramp, and then they brought in Pat O'Toole to sub, and just around that time as well, we get a penalty. Jack Heighton goes for the posts and pops one in. But here's where the gold come in. Rooney makes some changes. At this point, I believe, trying to think, somebody goes out, and I can't remember who it is. For the life of me, it's killing me. It's killing me. It's killing me. Oh my god. I think it was Ben Bonasso goes out for an HIA. That's who it is. Ben Bonasso goes out for an HIA. Nick Civetta goes. No, I'm sorry. Fuck. Charlie Hewitt goes out. Nate comes in, or Nick comes in. It was something I can't remember the sequence of events, but it ends up Caleb Geiger coming in and playing number 8. And that's a crazy sequence of events because we've only seen Caleb play hooker. So that was interesting. But Robbie Coleman, single-handedly gets that first one back. And again, things I noticed that the referees let other players do that they don't let Andy Ellis do is quick tap the ball. It seems like every time Andy Ellis has quick tapped the ball in his career in the MLR, magically he's never on the spot of the penalty. But every time somebody does it against Rooney, they're always on the spot no matter what. But that's part of one of the things that is an issue for our team is kind of giving up on a play sometimes. There we go. Bass fan for Bonasso. Listen, Dougie was behind me the whole time, and generally I usually catch it a little bit. I'm going to call Dougie out. I catch the changes a little bit faster because what Doug's doing is trying to write all these notes and to give you guys these great articles he writes. So sometimes he doesn't see the switches or like, he's trying to write a piece during halftime about the first half, culminating and all that. And then the lineup has changed with a change. So, I think I should get some credit, Dougie, on some of those articles. I'm just saying. But yeah, so NOLA comes back. They score 2. Now all of a sudden it's 31-21, and this is where we're starting to get a little nervous, right, Mikey?
Yeah, that is definitely going in the 58th minute. They start coming back, and I'm like, oh crap. Is this the NOLA gold that we were worried about? Are we letting our foot off the gas a little bit? We should be going pedal to the metal, but it seemed like there was a disconnect, and then fortunately enough, we held them off. I think they scored one more time.
Yes.
Yeah, 76 minute, which got me even more scared. I'm like, oh crap, here's one more final try. And then we ended up with the win with
and we end up with Dylan Fawcett scoring at the death. Jack Heighton, I think the only conversion he missed was that one at the death.
Yep.
He was perfect. Other than that, he was 1-1 on penalties. Your try scorers were Andy Ellis, Cara Pryor, Dylan Fawcett twice, and Ed Fidel. For NOLA, it was Kevin Sullivan, Juan Capiello, Damian Stevens, JP Eloff, and Damian Stevens was perfect from the boot. Sam Windsor coming on for Troy within 10 minutes. That kind of gets you a little again a little nervous right at the beginning of the match. Not that Sam being out there should get you nervous, but again, then you start to think about what God forbid somebody else gets hurt. Who's going to be back there, and you kind of get to talking. Connor Buckley came in the 58th minute, and I think came in and did very great on defense. He was getting his head dirty on some big tackles, which for me, I really love to see. Our scrum halves get in there and get dirty. I mean, we've seen Andy come in and just with reckless abandon and counter ruck sometimes, and I think it just gives guys like a that sense. As far as Ben Bonasso, he didn't enter back into the game, but it was also like the 55th, 60th minute. So I'm not sure if maybe the plan was just to give him a rest, regardless how the HIA came back. I haven't heard any word on him. It was Nate left at halftime for Charlie Hewitt. That's what it was. And then eventually Nick came in for Caleb Geiger, right? Ben and Joe came in for Ben. And what happened was Joe went in and played lock for Nick. Kara went in and played 6 for Joe. And Caleb came on and was playing number 8 in those last couple scrums. There we go here. Dougie liked Windsor kicking ahead. And getting the kicks at him. I think one of the things Sam did great was not necessarily always kicking return on the ball. Yep. He was taking it up, or he there's some points he would kick it. There's some points he would take it. I think that's a great sign of obviously his prowess in the game. But listen, we talked about a win. A win's a win. We get the 5-point bonus win. NOLA Gold gets 1 bonus point for their 4 tries, but they slip a little bit as far as there's an 8-point margin of victory for us. So that means they don't get the 2nd point. So we get 5 points for now. 7 points ahead of Toronto in the standings going into Toronto this week. We kind of helped Toronto out as far as not letting NOLA get that 2nd bonus point. They're still hanging around. Here's the thing I think about NOLA. They have nothing to lose, and all those guys coming off the bench are still fighting for their job and fighting to play and to show why they should probably be signed again next year. So I think when it came down to it, you have a couple guys already out for Rooney. You had a couple guys get injured for Rooney and have to play out of position. And now they're getting into their head. And then I think you saw a little bit of confusion there at the end of the match. But, it is what it is. It's rugby. So what me and Mikey are going to do, we're going to speculate a little bit about how we're going to vote for our Rooster of the Year, our Forward of the Year, and our Back of the Year, who we think is in the running so far now that we have 11 matches done and dusted. So, Mikey, who do you think right now is your Rooster of the Year?
Rooster of the Year, I am going to go with I am going to go with Andy Ellis as my Rooster of the Year.
Andy Ellis, Mr. All Black himself.
Yes.
I would say my Rooster of the Year. This is a tough one. I want to say Brendan O'Connor, and here's why. I think he's been an unsung hero all year long. I think if you look at his minutes, he's played, probably him and Nate have played the most minutes for New York. Being a little bit injured in LA, he finally got a rest coming back to New England, and I think we saw him not being in there was, it was an issue. Offensively, he runs the ball a lot. He runs down that wing. He's been productive offensively. He's made big hits. He's made big plays, like this jackal to set up a try for Eddie this match. So I think I'm going to go with Brendan O'Connor.
I was going to say Ellis, same unsung. Yeah. He gets the tries every so often, but you definitely see that when he's in, there's definitely a major kind of offensive output that I'm seeing. With us, especially amongst the backs, the connection between him and the 10 just seems to work and flow a lot better. I think he's taken up a major role within like the leadership group itself. Definitely one of the older guys on the team. I think he's someone that they look up to. That's why I was going to go with Andy.
And we have some news from Dougie Coyle. The USA Eagles extended roster for Chile will be announced by the end of the week. I know right now The a shortened roster is, I believe, in attendance at some meetings in Colorado. They're all coming back to their respective MLR teams tomorrow. And Dougie Coyle, his selection for most improved player from last year, Kara Pryor, and his defense has improved this year. His line defense has been great, and his attitude's always great. We love the fiery attitude, but he's calmed down the reaction to other people's foul play, which
Yep.
always kind of gets him in trouble. He's
Which
been
something that
Yep,
something that we didn't see this past weekend, which was good to see. That
exactly.
there wasn't any fights, any scuffles really that happened between the stuff that you usually see between Nola and Rooney
Yeah,
when they play.
historically, yeah, it's kind of it gets a little nasty. But so we're gonna talk. So we did Rooster of the Year. So let's do with forward of the year, Mikey. Who do you think your forward of the year is gonna be?
I was gonna say Kara Pryor is my forward of the year. I
That's a
think
good pick.
definitely most improved.
Hmm.
His offensive output, as great as it was last year,
Yeah.
it seems like it's even better, and he's definitely stepped up the defense a lot. Uh, Definitely, a solid all around player this year that has been great in offense and defense and in the pack. So I'm going to say Kara Pryor is my forward player of the year.
It's a loaded forward pack here
Yeah,
with Nick Mayhew, with Zach Tuolafo, with Wilton, with Will Tucker, with Nate, with Charlie. I don't think Nick's in the running. Unfortunately, he's just you can't I can't give it to a guy who's been here half a season.
yeah,
Kara, Ben. Honestly, you might even call me a homer, but I think KT. I think KT would be my forward of the year. Man, he had some friggin' hits this week
yep,
that I love big hits, and they were clean hits, and they were hard hits, and they made an impact on the front row where the scrummaging changed for the other team. So I would say KT, but Will Tucker could be in there. He was playing great. Brendan O'Connor obviously could be in there, but if I picked him as my Rooster of the Year, I generally don't like to pick that as the back. Jason calling Nate again. Nate's been playing ridiculous minutes, and the communication with the referee I think is a little better sometimes than Butch because Nate's a little more even keeled, and you don't get the reaction you do out of Butch. So I think the referees are like, okay, we can kind of deal with it. And then we go to back of the year, and this one is even harder for me,
yeah.
Mikey.
I have it I have it narrowed down to two for my back of the year, and
Okay.
I think it's a toss up either way. And my two, I think it could possibly be, and are Jack Hyten and Ed Fidau.
Okay.
It's to me it's 50-50 between them. I think Ed Fidau has been great on the wing, just a pure, just straight, hard charging, knows where to be at the right time. You know, he's been great. Um, and then with Jack, he's been solid at 10, great with great with the boot.
Mhm.
Has saved us a few times. So those are my two, and those that's hard. I think the back choosing the back of the year is even harder than choosing forward of the year, and choosing forward of the year is pretty freaking tough.
I mean, I would definitely say Eddie. I'd have to go three people. Eddie, Jack, and I'd have to throw Jason Emery in there. I think
Mhm.
Jason Emery's defense has improved match over match. And another guy who is, our centers are relatively small in stature compared to some of the other centers in the league, and they will go and hit fucking props and hit flankers.
Yep.
And Jason will get run over by a number four, but slow him down, and somebody else will make the tackle. So out of those three guys, it's really going to come down to the last few matches of this season for me to actually get an accurate reading. And I think there could be a breakout. I feel like we don't talk about Fossey enough, and he's another guy
Yeah.
that plays a lot of minutes in that back line and doesn't get subbed out very often. And because he hasn't made all the highlight plays we're really used to, I think that kind of just keeps him out of our head. But again, defensively, he's been great. He garners a lot of attention because of what he did last year. So I think that's how it opens up those wings like Eddie, Jace, the other center, and Jason. It opens up the fact that when whoever's playing 10 or 9 can throw a dummy to him, the defender's going to commit to Fossey because they know he can break one. And that
Yep.
sets up guys like Connor Buckley, Andy Ellis, Jack Hyten, and Sam Windsor to fake it and kind of go up the A gap or the B gap there. So
And that's another guy on that fringe too has been Andrew Coe. You know, he's
Mhm.
been great on defense,
Oh,
blitzing
yeah.
a few times. You know, he's definitely, charge guys, teams back,
Mhm,
10, 20 yards. And then if, he doesn't get the tackle, he's there with the ball and,
mhm.
the interception for the try. So, maybe he comes back and does great. Um, yeah,
Definitely.
it comes down to these last few games to see, I think, where we will see one person stand above the rest.
I think you're absolutely right. Excuse me. So the other thing, we have another match on Sunday. That match is actually kicking off at 12 noon in Toronto. Uh, going to be on MSG Plus, TRN. Sunday at noon for us, Sunday at noon for them, and there is a official watch party at Stout NYC at Penn Station. Be there at 11 a.m. To 12, excuse me, to 2:30 p.m. to watch the match. I know Blue Point's going to be representing, so I'm sure they'll have great specials and things like that. If you go to the Supporters Club, the group in Facebook, I posted it. I'm actually going to pin it to the top right now, and there's an RSVP link. So double check that RSVP link. So let's really talk about this upcoming match against Toronto, dude. I'm scared. They came to New York with like 12 guys injured and kicked our ass last time, man.
Yep. It's gonna be tough. It's this is yeah, this Toronto team is fighting for that playoff spot. We are too. We're in it, but they got nothing to lose right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're the ones going in with everything to lose. They got nothing to lose. They've been pretty solid. I think they got the one loss when they've been up in Toronto.
Yes.
Every other game they've won. We know that they're strong at home. It's gonna be a fight. It's gonna be a dog fight to the bitter end.
I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to slow down the game and play that forwards game that we keep talking about. They're still very good at counter kicking. With Troy's status up in the air, what I would think we would see would be Andy, Jack at 10, Sam at 15. It could be Sam at 10, Jack at 15, depending on what they want to do, how they think the weather's going to be.
Yep.
Um, I think Sam is a better pinpoint kicker. I think Jack has a little more power. So if it's going to be windy, maybe you put Jack back in the 15 because he can really hammer it home when he needs to. Um, but I truly think it's going to come down to forward play and set piece. In our scrum did not do well against them, even though we have the better scrum. We just that day, particular day we
Mm-hmm.
didn't scrum better. So that's one thing we have to do against them. I do think our rolling ball can be successful against them. And I think we have to do what we did this past week, where we went straight with our centers and not this skip pass or this looping pass or this step when the centers get the ball. I think we just have to run at them, bring them down, bring them down, bring them down. The fans are going to be amped up, because they
Yep.
have the next like 4 home games at home. They played a lot of their home games in the back end of the season. They're vying for a playoff spot. They're only 7 points out. If they can hold us to no bonus points and get a BP win, all of a sudden we're going into the last 5 matches, right? 5 matches, 4 matches, going into the last 4 matches saying, they're nipping at our heels.
Yeah, playing in those last four matches, playing
Seattle,
a
Atlanta,
Seattle. Yeah.
DC, and then New England.
So yeah, playing a Seattle hit or miss Seattle.
Yeah, but top of
A
one in top
Yeah.
3 in the West,
Yep.
Atlanta being number 2 in the East,
Yep.
DC is DC, and at that point, they
DC is
almost beat
coming
us.
up.
They
Yep.
almost beat us at home. We're going down to play them, and they're going to want to play the spoiler. And
Yep.
then all of a sudden, it might come down to high noon in New England, where we didn't play well last year in New England. So
No, these are four. These are four very very tough games. Or five very tough games that we've got up. So I think hopefully getting a bonus point win this Sunday is important going forward in the future. Making to help
absolutely.
ensure that we get into the playoffs. Because yeah, like we said, those are these are 4 games that we've got that are super tough.
Mhm. And going into the Atlanta match, it's going to be a rematch round of the playoffs if everything shakes out and stays the same the way it is.
Yep.
So give me your score prediction, Mikey.
I am going to go Rugby New York by 3. I think, like I
Rugby,
said,
yeah. All right,
it's going to be a nice tight match. It might come down to another nail biter, a Jack Heighton, penalty, something like that. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be
mhm.
tough.
There's the earlier this season how New York had their lineup. I didn't see Connor McManus. The last 2 times on the 23. I'm wondering what his status is. Jason is going by 5. I'm going to go with Jason. He was dead on last week. So that's one of 2 things. He's either going to hit it by 5 this week with me, or it's going to spell disaster. It's going to be a blowout either way. But guys, remember, go to Stout NYC at Penn Station starting at 11:30. Check out our Facebook or any of the Rooney social media to click that link to RSVP if you're coming down. If you're up in the Albany area, go hang out with Mikey at the Excelsior Pub, and me and Mikey will be doing our pre-game match show probably around 11:30. You can catch us here on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever the hell else I posted it. But I'm the big guy, Scott Ferrara. That's Mike, the Grand Poobah Parazzini, and we'll see you guys on Sunday.